Hey, welcome teachers. I am very, very excited today. We are going to be having a live demo of a virtual makerspace called Qweebi. I have with me today Aman Bansal and Vivek Sitharaman. Did I say it right?
Perfect.
Okay. And so I don't want to waste any time. I'm just going to have us launch straight in. So I don't know who wants to tell us a little bit about Qweebi before we launch into the app, but you're on.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Kerry.
you. Thank you.
Thanks
Go
for
ahead, Vivek, go for it.
thanks for having us, Kerry. So hi everyone. Aman and I are co-founders at Qweebi. We have another co-founder who's not here. His name is Abhi. And Qweebi helps STEM teachers show kids the magic of what math and science can do for them. Right? We are a virtual makerspace, and we help teachers run standards-aligned STEM projects without any of the hassles. Right? So with Qweebi, no more worrying about buying supplies. You'll never have to waste precious class time on setup and cleanup. And you'll never have to worry about storage, right? No more racking your brains trying to figure out where to store 25 half-ton roller coaster projects until next week, right? So that's a little bit about Qweebi. Hey, Aman, how about we show them what the platform is like?
Okay. We can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we see it.
You can see my screen. Okay. So actually, let me sort of launch Qweebi from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
So
do that.
one thing that everyone would want to know, Qweebi is an app. You have to install it on student devices, and once you install it, you can set up student accounts. Students can log in to start building on Qweebi. Yeah. Qweebi also has a web component that's called your teacher dashboard. That's the place teachers would basically go to explore projects that are available on Qweebi, to assign those projects, to be able to monitor student progress, give feedback to students on their work, and also generate reports in terms of what students are doing. So basically, Qweebi has two parts. One is your app where students log in and start building, and a teacher dashboard that's meant for teachers to be able to assign lessons and monitor progress and generate reports. So Vivek, any questions here?
Yeah, I mean, so Aman, what platforms does Qweebi work on?
Okay. So Qweebi works on Windows, it works on Mac, and of course it works on Chromebook. Yeah. And I'll also say what it does not work on. So it does not work on an iPad or an Android tablet. Does that
Yet.
answer your question?
Yet.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, so I have a question. So this is an app. So Aman, how do teachers install this app on student
Uh,
devices?
that's a very good question. I get this question in almost every demo that I do. So it's pretty easy to install Qweebi on student devices. We have an instruction guide that the school's IT team can follow to be able to install Qweebi on student devices. So Qweebi is available on your Chrome store. They will just have to sort of install Qweebi from the Chrome store and push it on all student devices. It's pretty easy to do if they follow the instructions.
Okay, great. So let's move on. Let's fire up the app, and maybe you can show us how students log in.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to click on Start Making to go inside the app. Yeah. When I click on Start Making, I can log into Qweebi as an educator, or I can also log into Qweebi as a student. Given that you asked me how students log into Qweebi, that's a good question again. What we do is students can choose to log in with student with class code as an option. And if teachers have created student accounts in the teacher dashboard, then students can enter using the class code that's available for the teacher's class and the username that the teacher has assigned to the student. So if students enter the class code and username, click on go to my class, they'll be able to log into Qweebi. Pretty much like if teachers have used Tinkercad before, that's how Tinkercad login also works. A nickname and a class code, and you click on go to my class, you'll be able to log in. Does that work?
Yeah, that's great. I just want to add that we built Qweebi with inputs and guidance from over 200 STEM teachers. So one thing they kept telling us is make sure you make login easy. We don't want to spend 30 minutes of class time trying to log in, right? So we're trying to make it easy for you to finish this login in under 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions, or should we go deeper into the app?
I think let's get into it.
Okay. So I'm going to click on my educator's account and I'm going to log into Qweebi. So I'm using my educator credentials to be able to log into Qweebi. Yeah. And if I click on sign in, I should be inside the app. Yeah, there you go. I am inside the app. So the first screen the teachers might be seeing on their screen right now, this is basically called your project screen. It serves two main functions. If students want to build something from scratch, they can click on new project. They can give their project a name. Let's say my first project, and they can click OK to enter the virtual makerspace. We'll talk about this in a bit, right? And the other thing that students can do from the project screen is if teachers have assigned the standards aligned STEM projects to students, all of those projects can be found here, and students can sort of click on any of the projects that teacher has assigned to them and start working on top of what howsoever teacher has set up their environment to be able to solve some sort of an engineering design challenge.
Okay. So
Any questions here?
what you're saying is the teachers can use their dashboard and they can pick a STEM project and they can assign it to their students. And when students log in, they can actually see those projects and jump right in. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The other thing that I'm saying is, obviously, teachers can assign the projects and student can work on those projects. But if students want to build their own projects, they can click on this new project and then sort of start building something from scratch. So students have the option to build something from scratch if they want to, and not just work on the projects that teachers are assigning to them.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
I have a quick question that came in from a viewer.
Okay.
And she was asking, is there any integration with Google Classroom at this point?
No, so there's no integration with Google Classroom at this point. At this point, if you want to add your students, you'll have to use your Google Sheet to be able to assign a username to your students and upload that Google Sheet into our teacher dashboard. If you do that, all of your student accounts will be created, and then students can log in with the username that you have created. Google Classroom integration is something that's up on the product priority, and we should have it in the next few months. It's not available as of now.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Kerry.
Okay. So let's go inside the virtual makerspace and really see how it looks. So we have a demo project set up for all of you to see, and yeah, now we're inside the virtual makerspace. So guys, one thing that you would want to know about Qweebi is everything that you see inside Qweebi is inspired from physical makerspaces. So the next 2 minutes we will spend to help you become familiar with the interface that you are seeing on your screen. And we'll be using a lot of physical makerspaces analogies to make you comfortable with what you are seeing on your screen. Yeah. So the first things first, you see this 3D space, this grid line floor. Think of it like a tabletop in a physical makerspace. What do you generally students do on tabletop? They'll gather their supplies, they'll do the gluing, cutting, so basically building. So all the building that students do in a physical makerspace, mostly it is on top of a tabletop. So this is your Qweebi's tabletop that you can use to be able to build virtually on Qweebi. Yeah. Now, up on top, you have supply bins. So just like physical makerspaces have supply bins where students go and fetch supplies from, Qweebi also happens to have supply bins that you can go and fetch supplies from. So we have everything from axles to wheels to electrical components like your bulbs, your batteries, your motors, your motors with attached propeller fan, cardboard, different sizes of cardboard boxes, household objects, your cornflakes box, your Pringles box, Coke can, tuna can, milk carton, and the most popular supply of all, toilet paper roll, right? So we have all of these supplies that students can use to basically build in the Qweebi world. Yeah. Any questions, Vivek, so far, or should we move on?
Well, I thought I wanted to talk a little bit about the supplies. Do
Okay.
you want to go in and zoom in? Let's take a
Sure.
closer look. So Kerry, these are very real world supplies. They look and feel just like the real thing. And what you see is, they're meant to mimic what kids instantly recognize. So they already know what to do with them, right? So if they're building a car or something like that, kids inherently know that a empty Coke can is lighter than a piece of wood, right? So that's why we're going with these materials that are super familiar, right? Another thing is, it's not just that they look like the real thing, they also have software that make them behave just as they would behave in the real world, right? So for example, Aman is actually pointing at the Coke can, and it weighs about 50 grams, right? If you point at a battery, let's say, Aman, that battery is actually weighing exactly 138 grams, and it delivers about 1.5 volts, just like in the real world, right? So that's something that I want to point out. Also, Aman, do you want to talk a little bit about the environment?
Yeah. So as Vivek pointed out, everything in the Qweebi world looks like real world and behaves like real world. So not just the supplies, but the environment also behaves like real world. It follows the laws of physics. So let me see if I can show you gravity and friction in action on the platform. So you see here, I've grabbed a rock and I'm gonna try to drop it on the top of the big rock. Yeah, and you see your gravity in action on the platform, right? Or if I were to, let's say, grab a wheel, this is a very light wheel, it's 50 grams. So I'm going to push it to see if we can see friction in action. Oops, it went away, but you see it rolls. Yeah. So the idea is that everything in the Qweebi world behaves like real world, and the reason why everything behaves like real world is if you were to build something on Qweebi, you can actually test it if it would work in real world conditions or not. Yeah. So far what we have covered is, this 3D space is your tabletop on top of which students build. The icons on the top are supply bins from where students go and fetch supplies. You have learned a little bit about what supplies we have. Next up, I wanted to tell you about the tools. So any physical makerspace have an area where students can go and, let's say, grab the glue gun or grab the soldering iron, and they use that to manipulate supplies to build their creation, right? So Qweebi also has that area. We call it the tools area. This bottle would be familiar to most of the audience here, right? So this is your Elmer's glue that you can use to be able to glue stuff on Qweebi. Similarly, we have stuff like soldering iron and some of the other tools that you can use to be able to build things on top of Qweebi. Vivek, I'd like to show application of some of these tools and give audience an idea how you can use everything on Qweebi to be able to build in Makerspace. So before I do that, is there something that you'd like to ask?
No, I think we're good. Let's actually jump right in. I can see that we have a Pringles rover that we've kind of half built. So, Aman, what would you like to show us? Are you going to look at, if I took a guess, are you trying to glue another wheel onto the rover by any chance?
What I want to show, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to actually do is maybe build this rover and take it out for a spin. So that's my intention. It's half built. So let me just go ahead and use some of the tools that we have to be able to build. Does that work?
Yeah. Looks like you propped up the car on top of a little box, so you have more access to that front axle.
Yes, that's what I've done. I'm using this box almost like my workbench, so it's easy for me to sort of fit the wheel correctly, center aligned to the axle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me just go ahead and grab my glue bottle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the glue to the center of my wheel. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and connect this glue point to my axle. Yeah. So can you see the side of my axle clearly, Vivek?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So you saw that I had applied the glue and now I'm connecting the glue point to the axle. And if I do that, you'd notice that I've sort of applied the glue. And if I want to make some adjustments in the way I've connected these two things, I can make those adjustments using my nudge menu. And if I'm happy with the way these things have been glued, I can click on set the glue. So if I do that, you notice that I have glued the wheel to the axle of the car. Yeah, so that's
So teachers, just want to say there's no mess here. You just finished gluing something and there's no mess and no stress.
And the other thing I want to say is, even though you're building in the virtual world, you are almost doing the same steps you would take in the real world to be able to build in the virtual world. So while we make it easy for you to do it, but you still have to do those steps to be actually able to build stuff on Qweebi. Yeah.
Again,
Should we?
the glue dries instantly in your world.
You have to follow that. I'm gonna put that in. Instant dry glue. I like it.
Okay, so I also wanted to show wiring, right? So we you see that I have connected my motor to the battery, and one of the wires is connected. So let me go ahead and connect the other wire. I'm
So
gonna
Aman,
go.
what you have here is what I can see is that a 9-volt battery that you've glued onto the cardboard box,
Yes.
and then you have a motor that's also glued at the back. Okay, I got it. Okay.
This is 9-volt battery, and this is the motor. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And you can always sort of click on the motor and look at the properties of the motor. Yeah.
Okay.
It's currently in off state, and if you were to turn it on, it's going to generate some force.
Okay.
So let me go ahead, grab my wire, and I'm going to basically connect the positive terminal of the battery. So whenever I am in the wiring mode, if I hover over any electrical supplies, I'd be able to get an indication of, is it a positive terminal or a negative terminal. I'm going to click on the positive terminal, a wire will pop out, and I'm going to go ahead and connect it with the positive terminal of the battery. So just like in the real world, you'll use solder. You're using easy interactions here to be able to connect your wires. But if you connect your circuit incorrectly, it's not going to work. And students will have to figure out why it's not working. So while it is easy, it still has all the problems of the real world of figuring out if the circuit doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. I've built my car. I'm going to exit the wiring mode. I'm going to get rid of this workbench, and yeah, my car is ready. So basically, that's how you build in the makerspace using your virtual supplies and tools. Vivek, do you want to talk about the next tab that we see on the screen, Maker Code?
Sure. So what Aman can show you is there's a maker space, and right next to it, you see something called a maker code. Okay. So let's jump into that. This is interesting. So maker code is a full-fledged Scratch-like programming interface, right? Where kids can create, can write code to control their own creations, right? So let me give you an example. Maybe let's jump into the makerspace just to show an example, Aman. So let's zoom into the car here. Right now we've built a car. Now every object can be controlled through code. So for example, that motor, you could probably write a piece of code to change the speed of the motor while it's running, right? Or maybe you have a switch that you want to turn on and off while it's running, right? Maybe you have headlights that you can turn on and off. So it's very generic, open-ended coding platform that really lets kids use their imagination to control their creations through code, right? And what this lets teachers do is STEM teachers tell us that they're all about showing kids a real world problem and letting kids apply math, science, engineering, and coding all towards solving that problem. So this lets STEM teachers integrate coding seamlessly into their engineering projects, right? So Aman, how about we write a piece of code to get something going? Let's see what that looks like.
Sure. So I'm going to go to my maker code. I'm just going to keep it simple and easy. I'm going to go ahead and play a song. Whenever I
Song you're playing. Oh, okay, gotcha.
turn on my circuit. Yeah. I just wanted to Vivek ask you. So what happens if I'm able to control my motor output with code? So what is the consequence of doing that? Like, what change will I see on my car if I'm controlling the output?
I think even before that, let's ask Kerry. So Kerry, what do you think would happen if we were to turn this car on, for example?
Well, I'm assuming this fan will spin, and that will make the car go. But the only thing that I'm not sure about is if the power and if it will move enough wind for the weight of the vehicle.
There you go. That's
Got it.
perfect. That's perfect.
Got
So now that we have built something in our makerspace and we've coded something in our maker code, there's a place for students to test their creation, and it's called test mode, right? So in test mode, I'm just gonna I just want to zoom in on the car and just explain what's going to happen, Aman. So
Yeah.
what you see here is when we press start, what's going to happen is you see that 9-volt battery that's going to supply a potential difference in that closed circuit. There's going to be a real current. And that motor is your typical hobby motor that STEM teachers use in their classrooms. It's rated to spin about 18,000 RPM. So it's going to spin at 18,000 RPM in Qweebi. And because we've glued a fan to that motor, the fan is also going to spin, right? And because the fan is spinning, it's going to push a column of air behind the car. And because we're also simulating Newton's laws, that air is going to have an equal and opposite force that's going to push the car, right? Now, like you said, if enough wind is forced, then maybe it'll have enough thrust to be able to push the car forward, right? So let's press the start button and see what happens.
Yeah. Just before we do that, idea is we build stuff in MakerSpace. We attach code in Maker code, and once we're done with our build, we basically go to test mode to be able to test your creation. And in here, we are testing that if we built our car all right and we turn on the circuit, will the car actually move forward or not? Yeah. So I'm gonna just go ahead and try this out. Let me just make my car little straight so that it doesn't collide into anything. Yeah. And let me follow my car also and click on start. Oops. I see a song playing, and I also see car is sort of veering in one direction.
Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
Okay. So yeah, so whenever you test stuff in test mode, and then if you've done everything all right, you should see results just like in the real world. So what happened in this case was when we turned on the circuit, as Vivek said, the fan spun, and then it pushed the column of air in this direction, and it caused the force in the forward direction. Now, since the force was strong enough, it let the car go forward. And you can also see how much was the force, how much distance your car traveled, what was its speed, etc. for this specific test run. And if you want to see that, you can just click on your car, and you'd notice that your car went at about 18.86 kilometers per hour. We had turned on the circuit for about 14 seconds. You know how much it weighs, and you know how much forward force is being generated because of this fan, right? So one thing that whenever we interact with teachers, we find out is they say that it's very hard to do the testing in the real world, and it's even harder to be able to get accurate data, right? So you don't have to worry about in the makerspace, in the virtual makerspace world. You can build whatever you want and you can test it out. You'll always get accurate data, and then students can start manipulating that data to be able to solve a challenge if they were doing some sort of an engineering design challenge using the engineering design process. Yeah. Vivek, would you like to add something to it?
No, I think that's great. I think you covered most of it. Yeah.
Okay. So up next, I actually wanted to show teachers how iterations work on Qweebi, how you can solve challenges using all the capabilities that we have shown you on Qweebi. So for this, Tracy, is it possible if we give a challenge, can teachers input their ideas in terms of how they want to solve it? And we can try implementing one of the idea in the makerspace, if that's all right.
Yep, there's a little bit of a time lag, so that when they respond in the comments, that it might take a little bit of time. So yeah, go for it.
Cool. Okay, so guys, I'm going to just tell you about the challenge, and we'll take it from there, and you'll have to tell us some ideas to be able to solve the challenge. We'll implement one or two of those ideas to just show you how you can go from an idea to prototype on Qweebi. Yeah. So the challenge is this: we have been given this spiky strip track, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my vehicle, and if I turn on my vehicle, just give me 1 second before I do that. Let me get rid of this code because it may come in between. Yeah, and so the challenge is I'm going to turn this on.
Oh, God.
And you'd notice that your vehicle is getting stuck. It is not able to go over the spiky strip surface. Now, the challenge for all of you is you have to tell me how I can modify the design of this vehicle so that it goes over the spiky strip surface. What we'll do is we'll collect a few ideas and then we'll implement one or two of those ideas just to show you how things work in the makerspace. Will that work for everyone?
Yep, we'll give them a moment while we're giving them some time to think about how we might modify this design so it'll get over that spiky strip. I did have another question come in, so let's go ahead and answer that one. So the question is, does this come in any other language options like Spanish or Portuguese? And they also want to know, can we add project instructions with the assignments?
That's a great question. So Elise, right now it's only in English at the moment. So we don't have any other language options, but we have done one thing. If you notice, all of the buttons that you see on Qweebi have a little graphic, and usually what ends up happening is it's very easy to tell what it is for kids, right? We are coming out with language options, and we'll basically get to that very soon. Your second question was, can we add project instructions with the assignments? Great questions. Every project on Qweebi comes with ready-to-go curriculum kit. It comes with lesson plans. It comes with instructional videos. It comes with student journals. It comes with everything you need to run this in your class. And we're going to talk a little bit about the curriculum in just a bit. You'll be able to see that, right? So basic answer is, with every project, think of every project as a companion project that comes with a curriculum kit. Right?
Awesome. We have a couple of ideas for modifications. I'm going to pull in, we have 3 ideas. So I'm going to pull them in one at a time, and then you can decide what you want to go with.
Okay.
All right. One idea is to use larger tires.
Awesome.
Okay.
Elise wrote maybe adding another motor or fan, or adding spiky wheels.
Ooh,
Okay.
interesting.
Carol wrote, oh, we've got 2 from Carol. We make a ramp so the car jumps over the strips.
Okay.
And add a large energy source.
Add a large energy source. Okay. So Vivek, which one would you want me to implement on?
You know what? We'll see if we have time. If we can get it done quickly, maybe we can get all of them in, right?
Okay.
Right. So let's get everybody's suggestion. Let's start with, let's say, you want to do larger tires first?
Okay, let's do larger tires first. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my makerspace because obviously now I need to make some changes to my vehicle. One thing that's cool is you can make a copy of your vehicle and make changes to that. So you always know what you started with. You can change one variable at time and test if your theory is working or not, right? So all the ideas that have come, we will take one idea at a time. We will test out if it is helping us make progress. We'll continue building on that idea. Otherwise, we will do something else. Will that work for everyone?
Yeah, that to me is like, that was like, it's such a simple thing, but it's so mind-blowing because it's something that you can't do easily in the classroom, is like instantly do multiple iterations. And then even if you can, to preserve the initial design while you try to tweak it is so cool. Like that's going to be so helpful. Can you like label them like design 1 so that you don't get them mixed up if they don't look all that different from each other necessarily?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have these cute little stickers that you can connect.
What we do at the moment, Kerry, is we glue alphabets. So my design A, I can just glue an alphabet to it, and that's my design A, right? But you're right, that's a great feature. We're actually working on the ability for kids to write on their creation, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, that's great.
Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and glue this as my design A. I'm going to go and do design B. Just before I do that, I'm just facing a little lag. So let me see if I can launch the project again and see if it works all right.
Okay.
We were in, I think we were in demo V3. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Are we in the right place? Yeah, we are.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So let's do that.
I just wanted to quickly use the opportunity. Teachers, this is it's as simple as that. No need to store projects in the middle of the hallway. You kids can pick up where they left off, anytime in class, after class, right?
Okay. So I'm going to try the bigger wheels idea. So whosoever gave the bigger wheels idea, I'm sorry, I can't see the comments while I'm presenting. I just wanted to know from them, should we try bigger wheels for all the 6 wheels, or should we try bigger wheels for the front tires or the back tires, if someone can tell me?
Okay, that'll take a second before it comes in. That's from Act Now, the larger tires.
Mm-hmm. Let's start changing some tires, and then we can.
Okay.
Once
I'm gonna unglue what I just glued recently.
Okay.
Yeah. Get rid of this, and I'm gonna go ahead and glue the bigger tire.
Oh, we have an answer. She said front tires.
Front tires. Awesome.
Or heat. I have no idea. It's Act Now. Act Now says front tires.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm doing the front tires. I'm gonna go ahead and glue the front tires. I'm gonna click on set the glue. There you go. And the same thing I'll do on the other side. I'm going to get rid of this tire, and you can calculate how much time it took us to be able to do that iteration. So I'm going to unglue this guy. Yeah. And I'm again going to go ahead and grab a wheel from my supply bin and connect this guy. So let me click on the glue bottle. Again, connect the glue to the center and go close to my axle so that I can connect it to the axle. Oops. There you go. And I can click on set the glue. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I've changed my front wheels, should we just flip our car and see if this iteration is helping us give better results than the previous one?
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is iteration A. This is iteration B. Let me just make sure that I'm in a position so that both of these things go over the spiky strip surface. And I'm going to go ahead and click on test mode, and I'm going to take both the cars for a spin.
Okay. And there you go. Further along.
Improvement. That's awesome.
Not fully, but yeah, it worked. It made some progress. Okay. We can take a closer look at it and see now what's causing it to still not go forward. To me, it looks like that this part seems to be touching the spiky strip surface, and this might be causing it to not go forward. At least that's how I think about it right now.
It looks like, yeah, you're right. It looks like the Pringle can is snagging onto that edge of that spike. Yeah.
Quick question. So with the materials like this, is there a tool to cut the Pringles can, or do you have to use it intact, or find a different material that you can use that's kind of similar but maybe shorter?
It's a good question. So right now you cannot cut Pringles box, at least in the app. At the moment, there's no scissors to cut it at the moment, or a cutter, but you can use something which is smaller. So you have so many supplies to choose from, and you can implement that kind of an idea if you want to.
Great.
Yeah. I'm going to click on stop and go back. So what do we do? So we figured out maybe the Pringles box is touching the ground, and that might be causing the problem. And then that's why it's not able to go over. So one idea I have is maybe we can get rid of the Pringles box completely and try it and see if it works. Another idea could be that we can put another wheel and axle under the Pringles box, so it sort of goes over. So these are the two ideas I have, but I want to test some of the other ideas teachers had talked to us about. They wanted to do more power. So should we do more? Yeah. So we're seeing one more idea to add fan. So let's do that idea, and I'm going to do that idea over the original to see what happens.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And I'm just gonna, while Aman is adding a new fan, I just want to call out a few things. A lot of STEM teachers we've spoken to tell us that, things like motors, they usually cost about $6 to $8 per motor. So it's really hard to give kids enough of these things, right? So you usually end up giving kids one or two motors. And in turn, that affects their creativity because now you're kind of constraining what they can use. So with Qweebi, kids have access to unlimited set of supplies, right? So they can use how many ever batteries or motors or wheels without really supplies burning a hole in the schools or the teachers' pockets.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Aman just disconnected the previous fan.
Yeah. And I just wanted to point out that this is the biggest fan we have. So you can do many things to be able to add more power. You can put in two fans, you can put a bigger fan. So in this case, just to test our theory, if more power would help the car go over, I'm going to use a bigger fan. And how I know it's a bigger fan, if I click on it, it generates about 127 newtons of force. And the previous fan, which if I click on it, you'd notice that it generates about 91 newtons of force, right? So we're basically testing a theory, more force, can it help go over the spiky strip surface? So I'm going to go ahead and click on my glue. I'm going to go ahead and apply the glue.
Can I request Aman that we add two fans, just like our audience suggested?
Okay, we can do that. So I'm going to just go ahead and get two fans. And Vivek, maybe I'll need your help to tell me how I should connect the fans so that the propellers don't hit into each other. Like how should I go about connecting these things? Yeah.
Okay.
So we have these two fans. I'm thinking I can connect one on one side and another on another side and see if the blades are not hitting into each other, we should be good.
You could do that, or you could even add a small box on top, and you could put one fan on top, and you could put one fan on the bottom, right?
But that would also increase the weight of the car. So what advantage we might have had in terms of power, we might lose in terms of weight.
Okay. So let's try putting it on the first option. Let's try that.
Okay. So let's go ahead and maybe connect one of the motors here. I'm going to rotate it. So this is another thing I wanted to point out. So whenever you glue things, you have the ability, just like in the real world, to pivot it around its point. So that's what I'm basically doing here, right? I'm just pivoting it around point. I can do it faster by using the angle control. But idea is you will get a visual cue when the blade is not hitting the body of the car, and then it allows you to attach it to that point. Yeah. So I can see blade is not hitting the wheel. It is not hitting the body of the car. So I'm good with it. I can click on set the glue. Does that work?
Yeah.
I'm going to do the same operation one more time. I wish if there was a duplicate feature which just
Aman, can you glue it? Can you glue it at the very end? Yeah, perfect. That's fine. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and rotate this guy. So it will be faster.
And while you're finishing that up, we have another question that came in. When do you think Qweebi will be ready for use on iPad? Is that coming?
It is coming, but it's about a few months away. So it is coming. We're working on an iPad version. It already works on the Mac, so we're only a few months away from an iPad. So you can expect, let's say, about September, October would be a rough time frame.
Great.
Yeah.
We'll keep it posted on our Facebook page. Okay. So now what Aman's doing is he's adding another battery source to power that second motor.
Okay. And now let's go ahead and maybe use the wires to be able to connect my positive terminal to the positive terminal of the battery and my negative terminal to the negative terminal of the battery. And the same thing I'm going to do on this side, positive terminal to the positive terminal of the battery and the negative terminal to the negative terminal of the battery. So it took us like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes to do this, but yeah, the build is ready. Should we take it out for a spin and see if it works?
Oh, that looks like a mean Mars Rover there.
Yeah.
So whoever suggested the additional fan, I think it's Elise. Great idea. It's making the car look really, really.
I'm just going to get rid of this A so that people don't get confused. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to just delete it. Yeah, and if we are good, we can test it out. Should we?
Kerry, what do you say? Shall we give it a whirl?
Yes, I want to see.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Ooh, definitely goes faster. Wow.
Ooh.
So the more power really helped, but I want to see it like up close. I'm going to follow this vehicle this time around. Wow.
There you go. So great
Yeah.
idea. Congratulations, Elise. It's a great idea. And act now as well, because you also got us halfway there.
Yep. And Carol also mentioned using a larger energy source. So lots of great ideas coming through.
Yeah.
Really quickly, I want to answer a question. Yes, there will be a replay. So anything you missed, if you're catching this late, don't worry. You can go back and catch the first half later, or first part, wherever it is you're catching up.
Awesome. So teachers, the idea of doing this was to show you how easy it is for students to take an idea, convert it into a prototype, and really test it and find out if it works, right? It's very hard to do and sometimes almost impossible to do it in the real world in the limited time and limited resources that we have. But Qweebi sort of provides that opportunity to students really test whatever theory they have in mind and see if it works for themselves or not. Yeah. So that's how you can use basically the test mode to be able to test your theories and improve your solutions and solve problems.
Aman, I just want to add one thing, just on top of the point that you're adding. So a lot of STEM teachers that we talk to when they use Qweebi, they describe it in a really nice way. They say that, with in general STEM projects in class, the cutting and the gluing takes so long that oftentimes where the actual learning happens, which is the build, test, improve, think about what went wrong, think about how to improve, those iterations never seem to happen enough, right? So what teachers like about Qweebi is that they like to say, they said it's hands-on and minds-on. That's what, that's what they've described Qweebi as. And the idea is simple. It's like it lets kids go from idea to prototype in minutes rather than hours.
Absolutely. And that multiple iterations is so important. And even just the conversation that the two of you modeled about, well, what if the blades might hit each other, or, help me out with this and that, conversation and that problem solving is really cool. I had another question come in from Elise. Does test mode run everything, all your designs, or can you just test one design and hide the others? How does that work?
Okay, so let me take this one.
And I can show that in action.
Yeah, so I think this is just like a real space. So if you have 50 cars and you turn it on, all 50 cars are going to start running, right? So anything that you build, when you press start, everything starts simulating. So it can get quite crazy in your makerspace. So this is what Aman's doing. So what we do is we usually put our own little parking lot made of a 2x4, right? And that helps stop the other cars from running when we're testing something else, right?
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay. So where were we? We tested we tested our vehicle. We did multiple iterations, and the final step of any STEM project and why we do it is to get students to think about what they learned out of this challenge, where they struggled with, and what they got out of it at the end of the day, right? So students have the ability to be able to record a reflection video. So if I click on record a video, it will help me record a Flipgrid style video, which is if I click on start recording, students can walk you through what they did, how did they go about creating their designs. They can show their designs in action to you, one after the other. And they can also talk about what they learned out of this challenge and where they struggled with. Yeah. So if I click on stop recording, students would be able to see the video that they just recorded. I'm going to play it for 5 seconds so that everyone has an idea. Students can walk you through what they did, how did they go about creating their designs. They can show their designs in action to you, one after the other. And they can also talk about what they learned out of this challenge and where they struggled with. Yeah. If students click on upload, they have the ability to submit this as evidence of their work to you, and you as a teacher would be able to view students work in your teacher dashboard. If you want to measure students using a built-in rubric, there is already a built-in rubric. You want to modify it, you can do that, and you would be easily able to measure students and track their growth over time. You'd be able to generate reports and stuff like that. Even if you want to showcase learning to administrator principals, you have the ability to share students' work even with parents, right? So yeah, that's broadly what the Qweebi platform looks like. Vivek, do you want to take it away to help teachers understand now how to use the platform's capabilities to be able to achieve their goals of doing 21st century skills, or improving understanding of STEM concepts, or even exposing students to different careers?
Yeah, let's do it. So basically what you saw was a demo of how the Makerspace works. Now, along with the virtual Makerspace, Qweebi comes with a full curriculum, right? And Aman is actually going to swap out the screen and show us what that curriculum looks like. We're going to show you, for example, yeah, there you go.
Sorry, there you go.
This is one of our first modules, right? This is the Qweebi space program. It's Mission to Mars. It's really interesting because it puts kids in the shoes of NASA engineers, and their mission is to design and build a Mars rover from scratch, right? And at the end of it, there's a capstone project where they have a simulated Mars terrain, and they have to get their Mars rover, from start to finish, right, in the fastest amount of time. So that's the challenge. It's 8 sessions of rich experiences, all hands-on, right? And the way Qweebi, the anatomy of every Qweebi experience is that it starts with a hook. It starts with a hook that gets students squarely into the shoes of, a real-world problem that they need to solve, right? A meaningful real-world problem. And once that's done, there's a series of mini challenges, if you will, that will help them pick up the key concepts they need to be able to apply to the big capstone challenge, right? And once they're familiar with all the mini challenges, you can assume that all of your students have the necessary prerequisites to be able to attack that big, meaty engineering design challenge, right? So that's the way it works. Aman's going to show you that anatomy. This is what it looks like. So there are 8 sessions. Starts with a mission briefing that's really guaranteed to hook your students. Then there's some technical training. And then we call it the NASA boot camp, where they learn about Newton's laws, they learn about ground clearance, they learn about all of the things that they need to be able to build their Mars rover. And at the very end, we have 2 engineering design challenges that are the capstone projects, right? So what we can do is, Aman, would it be cool to maybe just take a sneak peek at, let's say, the mission briefing, right? Let's just show you what they'll get. So this curriculum kit comes with teacher slides that are ready to go. It comes with student journals that you can hand out to students. And it comes with professional development as well, 2 hours of professional development that, where you get very comfortable running this in your class, right? So what you're seeing, we're just going to speed through the slide deck just to give you a glimpse, a taste for what the curriculum looks like. Again, this is for the mission briefing, where the idea is to get the students hooked. So you start with, for example, here, kids, this is your mission to Mars. This is your newest mission. Divvy up the classroom into little teams of 2 and 3 people. In the next slide, Aman. Just go to the next slide. So here's where students meet their team, meet their crew. They do fun stuff like naming their team, things like that. And then we spark curiosity with a little video, a little 5-minute video about why are we going to Mars, right? And the idea is to get a rich classroom discussion going. Really go from why Mars, to all the way to, let's say, if we do get to Mars, our astronauts will need a way of commuting in Mars, right? And so how does that work? So, and slide number 11 is a really cool video of how NASA engineers use the engineering design process to be able to build a lunar rover. So it's a really fun video. It's about 10 minutes long. And then in slide number 13, we kind of, squarely rest the mission on the children's shoulders. So it's like, this is your mission. Should you choose to accept it, is to design and build your very own Mars rover. And slide number 14 gives them a glimpse of this is what you're going to be doing over the next 8 weeks, right? So by the end of it, students are really fired up and they're very excited, and they're in a state of mind for you to get going with the mini challenges and explaining the science concepts that are necessary, right? So that's a little bit. Aman, did I miss anything? Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I had a question. You talked about some of the many challenges that students do to become familiar with STEM concepts. Can you tell us what do you mean by many challenges?
So mini challenges. So the idea is that if you were to design your own Mars rover from scratch, there's a lot of things going on there. There's like, okay, how do I build, for example, how do I build even an axle and a wheel? That's a simple machine, but I may not know how to do that, right? How do I connect the battery to a motor? That's like an electric circuit. That's a whole different concept. And then there's the concept of fans, right? That are pushing the air and causing enough thrust, right? So then there's Newton's laws there. So there's individual concepts that are really important for students to get a good grasp of. So what we do at Qweebi is there's these fun challenges that are laser focused on just that one thing, right? So maybe the first challenge could be an automotive design workshop where they learn about that simple machine, that axle and wheel. How we do it is very simple. Take apart a car, learn the pieces and put it back together, right? Maybe in the second one, you talk a little bit about just the electric circuits. And the third one is a challenge that's based just on Newton's laws. So these are what you mean by mini challenges. Atomic hands-on STEM projects that are used to highlight a specific concept that teachers can bring in after class. Does that make sense?
It does. What I wanted to add to it was all of these challenges are learned by doing activities. So there is no real teaching happening. Students are again put in the middle of a challenge, and they use the engineering design process to be able to figure out how to solve that challenge. And in the attempts, like we did when we were trying to solve, I think one of these challenges, which is ground clearance challenge, we figured out what we can do to be able to solve that challenge. So intuitively, students grasp the concepts of, okay, if I add more power, my vehicle would go faster. If I reduce its weight, it's going to go at a faster pace again. So they're learning about Newton's second law. Or if I have to make sure it sort of is able to go over the spiky strip surface, then maybe the base of the car is hitting the ground. Maybe I have to figure out a way to raise it. So it's very intuitive. It's very less teaching and more students figuring it out. I think at the end of the day, what teachers generally do is they try to bring this all together in a last 5 to 10 minutes conversation with students to reflect on what really happened. But yeah, that's the way they sort of have these concepts in their hands, and then they can go ahead and do the final challenge. Yeah.
I had a couple of questions come in.
Yeah.
First one, do you assign grade levels to your challenges?
Okay.
Great question. Okay.
Yes, it is a great question. So there are two responses to it. Currently, our challenges are aligned to grade 3 to 8. So whatever you are seeing, students in grade 3 to 8 have run, irrespective of what they're learning in their classroom. What we are doing next is we are breaking the challenges into two grade bands. One is 3 to 5 and second is 6 to 8. So 6 to 8 everyone would do the same challenge, but for 6 to 8 the challenge would be slightly more complicated, and for 3 to 5 it would be less complicated, but the theme would remain the same.
Got it. And the next question is from Elise. Are we able to click on a student's account to see where they are on a project in case someone's falling behind?
100%, 100%. So from your teacher dashboard, you'll be able to always monitor where each student is in their journey. And not just that, you can review their work, you can give them feedback, and you can really see over time when students are doing multiple projects, how they're shaping up.
That's great. I don't know if you're going here next or not, but I would love to show at least one of the student examples where they're talking through that project. But if you're already planning that for a little bit ahead.
No,
pretend I
no,
didn't
no.
say.
That's what we wanted to actually show. I think now teachers have an idea of what is a STEM unit that they get that they can use with their students. Maybe if we show them what it culminates into finally, that'll be great.
Fantastic. Do you want to choose Finley, Cameron, or Lucas?
Let's do Finley.
Let's do Finley.
Finley? Okay. Just so you know, when I pull in the video, we're all muted. So if you have something to say about it, you have to wait till we come back. Okay. So
And should
Finley.
I stop sharing my screen when you do that?
I stopped it, but you're still there in the background in case there's something you want to pull up later.
Can I
just go ahead?
Can I just set the stage up for
Sure.
what they're going to watch? Okay, so everyone, what you're going to watch is Finley. He's grade 5 from South Africa, and he's attempting the Science Rover Challenge. And the challenge is to build a science rover capable of transporting 3 kilograms of rock samples, real rock samples, from start to finish. Okay, so what you're going to see is his own attempt. And make sure when the camera is turning, when he's showing you he's about to test, be sure not to miss that junkyard of failed attempts, right? He's done over 14 iterations to finally get here. So take a look and we'll see you on the other side.
Perfect. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Finley and I'm from South Africa, and this is the Rover Challenge. I'm now doing the Science Rover. As you can see, it has 6 wheels and 3 propellers, and its name is the Jumpinator or the Rampinator. Either 2 names. I like the Rampinator more. So let's see this thing in action. It's going over the rocky terrain now. The 6 wheels are helping it a lot by keeping it stable. It's going over the ramps, and it ramps, and it does it. Okay, stop. And thank you for listening. Bye.
That's so great. I love the graveyard of designs behind the one that eventually goes over.
Yeah, that's a typical reflection video. And what teachers sometimes do is add in their own reflection questions. So they do this video and then they also answer some of those reflection questions.
And that's what you showed earlier, where they could upload it if they're ready. And then does the teacher see, like, is there like a notification or something that the student submitted a video to watch? How's that?
Yeah, so you can go to your dashboard and you could go to your classroom. You could see a roster of all your students. You could go to any particular project and you could see all of the people who've completed, and you could see a link to their video. You could click on the video and watch it as well, right?
Yeah, I can. If my Kerry, can people see my screen?
I can add it in. It's gonna right now. It's showing us.
Okay, so if you can add my screen, I'm just going to give a demonstration of the teacher dashboard as well, so that people know where to go to be able to. So I'm already sort of this is Qweebi teacher dashboard. It's available on app.qweebi.com. I'm logging in with my educator credentials, and if I go to sign in, I'll be able to see the teacher dashboard, right? So just to let teachers know, they'll be able to, if they want to add their students, they can go to my class. They can sort of create a class, right? I'm going to just call it Carrie's class, and if I click OK, I will be able to go to Carrie's class, and
I saw that it was down.
It was down. Okay,
there it is on the left.
There you go. Yeah, I can sort of add my students here, right? So I'm under students. I can just go ahead. I can do a CSV upload. I'm just showing you how you can add your students. So you will give students a name, you can give them a nickname, and then you'll be able to add the student. So your student account is set up. Your student would log in using the username and the class code. Yeah. And once students start submitting their work, you'd be able to see the students' work under the projects that they're submitting for. So, for example, it's Mars Rover. You would click on it. You'd be able to select all the lessons that belong to Mars Rover, and you'd be able to view their submission and then sort of use it to be able to grade and stuff like that. So all of that you can basically do from teacher dashboard. A lot of this is something that we'll be developing over the next month or so. So you'd start seeing a lot more features of reports and stuff like that, which is work in progress, and they'll be there in a month's time or so.
Yeah, I just want to add this one thing that a requested feature from a lot of STEM teachers is something we call showcases that lets all of that learning that you saw Finley, right? There's vocabulary, there's persistence, there's grit, there's picking up 21st century skills and STEM concepts. Now, with showcases, what teachers want to do is be able to bring their school leaders into their class and see the learning that's happening, right? So with showcases, they could cherry pick a few of these videos that are really highlighting this and be able to create a little Pinterest style board and share it with their principals, right? So that's something that, yeah.
I think the last thing I also wanted to let teachers know is how pricing works, or if they want to use it in their school, how does it really work? So right now, we talked about the Mars Rover Unit. Just like the Mars Rover Unit, these are the new units which would be available on Qweebi. You'd have stuff like the roller coaster project, toy factory project, and more projects like this. And the idea is that you'd be able to buy these projects from Qweebi's website. Each of these projects currently is rated at $99. And if you buy these projects, you'd be able to assign this project to your students and run this in your classroom. So the way Qweebi works is you don't pay for the app, you don't pay for the student licenses, you don't pay for reports and stuff like that. The only thing that you will pay for is the projects that you want to run on top of Qweebi. The first project, the Mars Rover project, is absolutely free, and all the new projects that we are building will be charging a fee of $99 for you to buy it from the platform, just like you would from TPT, and then you can run that project with your students. And each of these projects comes with like all the stuff, your teacher guide, slides, student handouts, and then even professional development. So we offer all of that to help you successfully deliver each of these units.
And everything you showed us today is from the Mars Rover project?
Yes.
So everything you saw today is already free, which is amazing.
That's right.
For as many students as you want.
As many students as
because some of our teachers are STEM elective teachers, and they might see like 800 kids a week. And is that also the case? So let's say they do the Mars Rover project and it's amazing and they want to get funding for some of the other projects. First of all, do you accept purchase orders?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. That's an important one. We like our schools to pay instead of us out of pocket. Another question I had about the pricing. So it was like $99 for the other projects. And that doesn't matter if you have 800 students or you have 20, it's going to be 100. And is that like, is that like a per year license? Like, so if I did one of those projects or loved it, I want to do it again next year. Do I already have it? Just add more students, or do I need to buy it again?
So it's a per year license. So it's available from 1 year from the date of purchase, and then you can renew it the next year. By the way, we also have 30-day money back guarantee policy. So if you buy a project and you're not satisfied with it, more than returning your money, we'd love to know why you're not satisfied with it and update that project, right? So if you buy something and you don't like it, you have the option to get full refund in the first 30 days.
Great. And so another question I had is, could kids work on one of my projects from home?
Absolutely. If the kids can take the Chromebook back home, the one that they're using in the school, then they can work on the same project from home. In case they are using a different device to be able to work on the project, currently we are not saving their work on cloud. It is
Okay.
basically saved on the device.
Okay.
But over time, we will start sharing it, saving the work on cloud, and then students can sort of log into Qweebi from any device and work on it.
Could a student create on their at home if they just wanted to use the virtual makerspace to make their own project up and do things that wouldn't necessarily obviously be shown at school or whatever? Could they play with it? I guess play with it on a different device just to kind of
They can play with it on a different device. They can also do, by the way, they could do the same curriculum projects as well. So as long as they have a device at home, if they have like a home computer, and if they have a school Chromebook, the only thing that's not possible is to continue work that you did on one laptop
right.
on another laptop. But that's not to say that you can't start your fresh project at home. You could do your Mars Rover project at home as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, another question. If I'm in a class, right, and I created a design, could I share my design with a classmate who's in the same class so that they could open it up and make tweaks or changes or try to improve what I did?
Great question. That is one of our most requested features, and we are currently working on that. So the short answer is it's not available now, but we're definitely working on this.
But what students can definitely do is whenever they record their reflection videos, if they want to share it with their peers or if they want to share it with their parents, they have an option to copy that URL and share it with their friends in whatever way they communicate.
Okay. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
much fun. I'm going to, just everybody who's still watching, if you have questions that you want to ask, make sure you get them in now because we're tying things up. I think I asked all of my questions. While we're giving them just another minute, is there, oh, here's a new question that came in. Are projects stored? Yeah, projects are stored on the device. So they have to import, export for shared devices. Can they export can they export they can just share their reflection video, right? With the link?
Yes. So basically, if it's a shared device, my understanding is that multiple students are using that device, right?
Right.
So if one student has used the app, they can sign out from the app and the new student can log in. And the new student would only see the projects that they are working on. They will not see the progress of the other students, right? And finally, each of them, both the students have the ability to record a reflection video for their project and submit it to teacher, and teacher would be able to see two different works for these students.
That's great. I think it's just like imagining how much money, because there are just some supplies in your virtual makerspace that are not accessible. Like you were talking about the motors, like having enough motors, having batteries that don't ever run out.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to use batteries for every single project you do in the classroom. So that was the thing that I ran into a lot. I would buy rechargeable batteries because, I might work on something with that this month, but then it might be 2 or 3 months before we do one again. And the amount of money that you don't have to worry about for supplies. I'm still always a big proponent of a real physical makerspace, but there are so many problems in the classroom that the virtual makerspace can help solve, that they can both be excellent tools to have on hand at the same time. And plus, not everybody has one-to-one Chromebooks either. So you could have some kids working on a virtual makerspace, some kids working in the actual makerspace. There are a lot of possibilities here. And I will say the multiple iterations thing is the thing that is the most exciting to me. The money saving with the other stuff is cool, but you might get to 2 iterations of projects, maybe sometimes, not always. So that being able to have like a graveyard of 14 or 15 designs and be able to really compare them and preserve your originals and see side by side what they look like when they're running, I just think, it opens up so much. Oh, and the physical properties. That was the other thing I really loved when you click on, the cereal box or the battery, you can see the voltage, you can see the weight. It's amazing. Okay, wait, there's another question. Okay, so what if a student doesn't get the same device back? So if they're sharing Chromebooks among their classroom and then they used number 13 yesterday and they get number 4 today. If they're in the middle of working a project, does it matter? Do they need to get the same device back, or can they use any of the devices that have the app installed?
They'll have to use the same device. But Vivek, question to you: can we prioritize the feature of storing projects on the cloud so this doesn't no longer remain a problem?
Yeah, already underway. So the engineering team is already working on this. This again, we see a lot of teachers who are using shared devices, or kids want to work on these projects at home. So we're actually implementing this. So it should be done in a couple of months. Over the summer is when we're going to work on a lot of this stuff, and get it out the door in August.
Yeah.
All right, if teachers want to play with this over the summer so that they get a good feel for it, what should they do?
Awesome. That's a great question. They can go to Qweebi.com. They can schedule a demo with us. They'll get to meet me again. We'll learn about the teachers one-on-one in terms of how they want to use Qweebi. And then we invite them for a professional development program. That's 2 hours where we give them access to the app. We walk them through how to use the app. And we end the professional development program with a rich list of resources that they can refer to be able to do the Mars Rover project. Yeah.
Great.
And when teachers go back to school, they can do the Mars Rover project. They can taste the value for themselves. If they like it, then they can go ahead and buy more projects.
Awesome. So if they've done this demo and they schedule another demo with you, do they go through the whole thing twice? Because that might be a disincentive for some teachers who just watch this whole demo.
Absolutely not. So our demos are not. It's not that we do the same script on demos. So based on if they've already gone through the demo, we would have a very quick conversation to learn about how they want to use Qweebi, a 15-minute conversation.
Okay.
And then we'll invite them to participate in our professional development program. And we do these on fixed dates, so we can talk to teachers about it during the demo meeting.
All
But
right.
it'll be short. We'll keep it short, not more than 15-minute teachers.
We like to know how much time. I know I can't speak for all teachers, but I will speak for myself. I like to know what my time commitment is before I get into it. So that's I appreciate you
And then
accommodating it.
When we started meeting teachers, we kept so we got our first few customers and we asked them, okay, how was your meeting experience, and were you nervous before the meeting? And most teachers said that whenever we meet like sellers, they try to sell us stuff. They try to tell us to like buy something right away. They keep calling us, bothering us.
Yeah.
So we don't do any of those things. We're a very small team to be able to even be able to attempt that. But our goal is to inform you. Our goal is to get you to try the product for free, and only if it meets your goals, you can buy it. And the reason why the price is also so low is to make sure that more and more teachers in the US and across the world are able to do high quality STEM with their students. So we're sort of approaching this with that kind of a goal and intention in mind.
Fantastic. Well, before we end up, is there anything else you'd want to add before we go off the air?
Yeah, I actually just want to add that if any of you teachers have any more questions, I'm going to be at ISTE, and so let me know. We don't have a booth, but I'd be happy to chat with you and answer your questions. And
how can they find you at ISTE? ISTE is a big.
We're actually putting it on our website. So
Okay.
we have a whole bunch of teachers, so we're going to try and do a gathering there as well. So I'll keep you guys posted.
Oh, great.
So I think the best way to do it would be to sign up, and we'll send you for all teachers who have signed up, we'll actually send you some emails on that.
Great. And there's a contact form, I assume, on your site if they think of some people might be watching the replay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This contact.
And then lastly, Kerry, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to do this, to share what we are doing with your audience. We are extremely grateful. And thank you so much for helping us in our journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
you.
I mean, your free Mars Rover project is so comprehensive. I love, that's something that a lot of people don't always think about doing is giving away something that's really meaty and a really thorough example of what your work is before asking them to, plop down $99 for other stuff. If you didn't have that, I probably wouldn't have invited you, but you have such a really great free offer that I just want to make sure everybody I know will know about it, because I think it really does solve a lot of our problems with storage and cost and multiple iterations. Like those three things alone are so big. So I want to thank you both for coming and spending the time to go through everything with everybody today. And I'm going to ask you to hold on a second. Don't turn your camera off. I'm going to go ahead and take us off the air, but it'll put us back in the green room. And everybody else who's watching, thanks for joining today, especially if you're already on your summer break. It's amazing that you are using your time to come and learn about more things you can be doing in the classroom to help your students have really high quality STEM next year or over the summer if you're doing summer school. So thanks for your time today too, teachers and parents and whoever else is here, homeschoolers. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm sure I will see you soon. Bye for now.